David Baye here from MuscularDevelopment.com. We're down here in Florida for the 2013 NPC National Championships. I'm hanging out here with lightweight competitor Chris McMullen. Chris, pretty good year so far in 2013. You won the lightweight division at one of the biggest shows, not only in Florida, but in the entire nation. We're talking over 400 competitors at the Panhandle show in Florida earlier on this year. So obviously a great win. You know, when you're winning a class like that, you know, that kind of can be an indicator. Hey, it's, you know, I've put in the work, time to get ready for nationals. You know, when was the Panhandle show? You know, how much time did you have to get ready for nationals? And, you know, obviously if you won there, you know, you were in good shape, but, you know, you're jumping up to a whole different ball game here. Talk to us about some of your prep between your big win at the Panhandle and nationals.
Yeah, well, Panhandle was back in April. It was an exciting win. Definitely loved the win. I took some time off, did some powerlifting, really. Tried to gain a little bit extra muscle. I knew I was lacking in some lower area, glutes, hams, things like that, so I really tried to help develop those out. I've tried to keep my calories higher this time to try to keep a little bit of density up, and didn't do quite the intensity of the cardio. And really just tried to dial it in with diet more than cardio this time, and it seems to have worked. So I'm definitely feeling the best. I think I look the best that I've ever looked. So I'm excited to see what show up on stage with.
Well, if you're going to look the best you've ever looked, Nationals is the place to do it. You know, being a new competitor here on the national scene, some of the guys at MuscularDevelopment.com, you know, and around the bodybuilding scene might not be too familiar with us, or with us, with you, no, with you. You know, tell everybody a little bit about, you know, how you got into bodybuilding, when you started competing, you know, kind of the road leading up to, you know, the Panhandle and Nationals.
Yeah, I've been doing the whole workout thing just like everybody talks about for the past 22 years. I'm 37 years old. Developed it, loved
37. Yeah. Gee, I'm talking to all these guys. Maybe it's just because everybody's in contest shape, but and my face is all not in contest shape. But I'm talking talking to all these guys, and they all look like 10 years younger than me, and they're all like 5 years. Oh, it's not good. But anyhow, continue.
You're all right. Yeah, man. It's just I've loved it forever. It's just the sport that I've grown to love. I've followed it for a long time. Followed all the Olympia athletes, the NPC athletes, the IFBB athletes. It's something that I always wanted to do. Started competing. I always said that I'm going to compete by the time I'm 30. Just to say I did it. Did really well. Got my first places and everything. Got the bug on the competing level, and it's been on since. So,
you know, now one of the things that I've heard guys say, and this might sound stupid, but people say stupid stuff. You know, I've heard a couple people talk about, you know, guys in the smaller weight classes, you know, and being on a smaller frame, you know, there's this conception that, you know, misconception, excuse me, that some of these guys don't train as heavy. You know, you're not doing the heavy compound movements, or the little guys aren't doing the deads and the heavy squats and stuff like that. And we talked, you know, a little bit. You're doing heavy training. You know, talk to us a little bit about your training. Again, you know, these guys are going to see, hey, you know, he's a lightweight working with the smaller frame. Absolutely doesn't mean that you're not putting in your work in the gym with the big weights.
No. That's really what it's coming from. I do powerlifting in the off season. I compete in powerlifting. I compete in WAPF, APF, IFPL. I'm nationally ranked in powerlifting. Okay. So I've got.
For some of the we got a lot of powerlifters on MD. Can you throw out some of your powerlifting numbers?
In the 165 class in Raw, I've got a 451 dead. Best I've done is a 5. I did a 427 squat, and I did a 366 bench.
And that's in the Raw.
And that's in the Raw, no equipped. So that's a big difference when you say 500 bench, but it's a shirt.
We go back and forth on MD, you know, once in a while with the powerlifters, and usually most of the bodybuilders aren't too crazy about the bench shirts and stuff like that. So I'm in that boat. I get why the powerlifters do it. So everybody just don't you powerlifters wearing bench shirts, don't get too worked up out there. But I prefer the Raw powerlifting myself.
There's a big difference between doing Raw and doing geared. Geared is awesome to see. It's really neat to see, but to see somebody do a 1,000-pound squat with a squat suit that's going to add 500 pounds to their squat, it's
a little bit different seeing somebody come out with a pair of shorts and an old school leather weightlifting belt and just getting that squat rack. So
exactly, just some knee wraps to keep from blowing your knees out, and that's about it. So, yeah, and that's the goal. Is, you know, after this, win, lose, or draw, I'm going to go back into powerlifting and get some more records that way too.
All right, well, you guys heard it. Big frame, small frame, you know, those powerlifting movements, essential. You know, one of the things that, you know, those guys might out there, you know, might take into consideration is, you know, if you do have a smaller frame and you're looking to put on size, that's probably a focus for you. As far as your level of muscularity, working with a smaller frame, were you a skinnier kid when you were younger? Have you always had a fair amount of muscle for your size?
No. I've always been the little skinny, athletic-looking kid. If I stop doing what I'm doing now, I'll shrink up to 120 pounds. When I graduated high school, I was the same height, about 125 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Just carrying just normal high school kid muscle. So yeah, I've changed. I've definitely changed. And I see people from high school to now, it's a big wow factor.
Yeah, well, that's always good to have. So there you have it, guys. Big frame, small frame, putting in your work with those powerlifting movements, always going to help you advance in the world of bodybuilding, as long as your waist doesn't explode, which certainly hasn't happened with you. So, well, we're going to wrap things up here. Best of luck to you moving forward. So this is David Baye with Chris McMullen at the 2013 NPC National Championships from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for MuscularDevelopment.com.